It started about 3 years ago when I was first invited to come back to my alma mater, the School of Architecture at the University of Virginia, to teach a design studio. And I happened to fly via Zurich, and I had a 8-hour transit layover in Zurich, and I dread these airport halts. And on the plane I met someone who said, "Oh, you're coming to Zurich for 8 hours, you should go and swim in the lake." And I realized that this was a very serious proposition. I landed, I cleared immigration, I got on a public transport subway, I went to the lake, I went for a swim, I came out, I had lunch, and I went back to the airport and I caught a flight to go teach. And I felt just totally rejuvenated and as if I had a link with this city that I had never lived in. And it made me think of the fact that I live in a city which is a home to over 15 million people, which has a great and vital body of water called the Yamuna, and I have never actually been able to swim in that river. And it made me realize that here I was traveling 10,000 miles to go teach an architecture studio in a country, and what could be more interesting than using the dilemma of the river, the fact of its existence in a major urban mega city, and using the neglect as an opportunity to really create a research focus and a design focus to see how it could be reconnected to the city. And that's what started recentering Delhi. So we started on a 3-year initiative where the University of Virginia School of Architecture has committed the time and energy of its faculty and its students to examining all aspects of existing data regarding ecology, environment, land use, the flooding of the river, the population density around it, and really beginning a series of speculations on what if the river could be dealt with slightly differently, what if the city rethought of its relationship with the river as being its center rather than being its edge. And really that's the genesis of the project. I think it's given a fantastic avenue to the school, which is a school interested in the world. It's a school of architecture founded by Thomas Jefferson, who was not just an American president, but he was also a very widely traveled diplomat with a great and deep interest in the world. And it was just logical and fitting that the School of Architecture at the University of Virginia would then be able to commit resources to this. So I'm really proud to say in the last 3 years we've had over 50 students, undergraduate and graduate, from architecture, from landscape architecture and from planning, fly to New Delhi, spend time in India, see this site, see other sites, take these lessons of first-hand observation back to the University of Virginia, and then infect a whole other cadre of students and faculty with the lessons of these trips. So it's been an amazing launching pad for a relationship to be re-established between our school at the University of Virginia and the world, specifically here in New Delhi as well. So on the one hand, a fundamental difference when you plan for public spaces, you have to plan for inclusivity. You're really creating a template where it's the almost opposite of designing an architectural project where you have a specific client with a specific need and a specific program, a kind of established pattern of use. In public space, you're designing for a plethora of uses. You're designing for a multiplicity of users. You're designing for use across a long period of time. And so it's a fundamentally democratic design process. You're really designing a very focused, precise and methodical solution that could be successfully used by many people, irrespective of their age, their preoccupation, their social standing, their gender, and really make a very egalitarian platform, especially in a city, for active, animated, urbanistic use. I think the University of Virginia is fundamentally a very liberal and open-minded academic institution. So I think we as faculty are much more interested in the questions that would be posed to the students and the questions that they would in turn pose as a response to those questions. We're much less obsessed about what answer we will get. I think I've taught at the School of Architecture in Delhi. I've been on student reviews at many schools of architecture in India. There's some fantastic students here. There's some great schools here. But one fundamental difference, I think, is the schools here are really quite interested in the answer. They're interested in a solution. I think we at the University of Virginia are really interested in the provocation. So if there is a dilemma, if there's an urban situation that is ripe for architectural or landscape architectural intervention, we're actually interested in opening 20 more doors to what other aspects of urban life could be generated from that site. We're much less interested in saying, here's what will happen, here's how it will happen, and here's when it will happen, and here's how much it will cost. I think we're actually more eager to learn from this situation than we are to prescribe a solution in a way. I think if there's a thesis to this project, to this speculation on recentering Delhi, for me the biggest learning that I've taken away is to engage the world. I mean, sometimes sitting right under our noses is a dilemma or is a very urgent kind of crisis where, given our skill set, given our preoccupation as urban planners or designers or architects, we have problem solving abilities. But the unique thing about our problem solving abilities is they're fundamentally creative. And so they spawn a kind of very deep, very layered set of propositions for a particular situation. So my advice to budding planners and budding architects is really to look around you, look around at the situations that we're confronting, and really begin to infuse them with a level of clarity and poetry to really allow the most optimal use of human interaction to take place. That's what a city for me is. It's a place of surprise, and it's a place of delight, but it's fundamentally a place where every single individual is allowed to experience a kind of unique way of being in a very particular context. So for me, it's a very open-ended terrain, and I would say look carefully